Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and I'm a fucking idiot. So, I tried filming this video a couple times already, and then the last time I got it right, I was so satisfied with it, and then it turns out that my camera wasn't recording. So we get to do it again. Yay. So basically, this video was a product of me procrastinating my homework, doing an obscene amount of unnecessary research into a show that I already knew most of what I got, and then I just figured I did all this work, why not share it with the internet? Because that's what you do when your life means nothing. This show, I'm very, very excited for it. The Grishaverse, Leigh Bardugo's Grishaverse, is honestly one of my favorite fictional universes of all time. I think it's incredibly well done. The characters are amazing. The world building is phenomenal. The plot is so intriguing and interesting to me, and it's so good. And I love this series. I love all of the series in this universe, and I'm so excited for this television series, but I'm also so nervous because we know the track record of film or of book to film or book to show adaptations has not always been the best. I will use The Mortal Instruments and Percy Jackson as two of my prime examples because both of those were god-awful and should never have existed. So I'm just gonna get right into it, basically just because my last video was like excessively long and it was very unnecessary and I don't want to do that again. On January 10th, 2019, Deadline released an article announcing that Netflix will be adapting Leigh Bardugo's Grishaverse books into an 8-part miniseries called Shadow and Bone, which is also the name of the first book in the Grisha trilogy, if you didn't know, which I feel like you did probably. Why did I say that? Anyway, they listed some of the crew members who are going to be on board for the project. We have writer Eric Heiserer, I believe that is how you say his name, and he is known for Bird Box, the 5th Final Destination movie, and doing the screenplay for 2010's Nightmare on Elm Street. We also, for executive producers, have Sean Levy, who is known for Stranger Things, Poya Shabazian, who did Divergent, and Leigh Bardugo, who of course is the author of the wonderful books that are being adapted into the show. It's being produced by 21 Laps Entertainment, and some of the things that they're known for is What Happens in Vegas, The Darkest Minds, and both of the Night at the Museum sequels. Not the original, but the sequels. They also helped produce season 3 of Stranger Things, and they are half of the team that are making the Be More Chill movie that I can't decide if I want or not. And if you don't know what Be More Chill is, that is an off-Broadway musical that was then turned into a Broadway musical and is now being adapted for film. Also, according to the Wiki article, the director of the first episode is listed as Lee Toland Krieger, who also directed 2 episodes of the show You, yes, that one, and 2 episodes of the show Riverdale, yes, that one. He also directed 2 episodes of The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, which I don't really have a comment on that show, except that I think it might be turning into Riverdale just a little bit. And, but I think he actually produced more episodes of those shows than he directed. It brings together, obviously, the plots of the Grisha trilogy and the Six of Crows duology, and the article gives us a little synopsis for the show, which I'm gonna read now. In a world cleaved in two by a massive barrier of perpetual darkness, where unnatural creatures feast on human flesh, a young soldier uncovers a power that might finally unite her country. But as she struggles to hone her power, dangerous forces plot against her. Thugs, thieves, assassins, and saints are at war now, and it will take more than magic to survive. TV Line also released an article on January 10th announcing the series, but they basically just said everything that Deadline did except less, so I'm not gonna bother showing you that article. Then we had a little bit of a dry period regarding information until October 2nd, 2019, where the first part of the cast list was released along with the main cast photo. So I'm not going to talk about the cast members quite yet, but I am going to mention that this is the first article that alluded to the series being more than just an 8-part miniseries and actually mentioned there being multiple seasons, as well as confirming that the show was going to be a 50-50 split between the events of the Grishaverse character, or the Grisha trilogy characters, and the Six of Crows characters. Concerning the characters, there's this really nice Polygon article, actually, that gives us information about most of the main characters, their actors, and kind of just like what's going on there. I also did some of my own research. I spent about an hour going through a shit ton of IMDb pages, so yeah. So for Alina, we have Jessie May Leigh, who is a relative newcomer, but I'm not too worried about her, considering that for being a newcomer, it's pretty cool that she got such a main role in such an anticipated series, so hopefully that means that she's good and fits the role. Obviously they wouldn't cast her if she wasn't a good actress, so my hopes are. And then we have Archie Renault for Mal, and I don't know too much about him, but he was in Voyager, which I think I remember was pretty popular back when it came out. And then we also have Ben Barnes, aka Prince Caspian from Narnia, playing the Darkling. See, the Darkling on the cast list is, his name is the Darkling / General Kirigan, and people were, I remember people, including me, were a bit iffy about like, why is his name different, because in the books his name is Alexander, and Leigh was quick to tweet out a reminder that the Darkling has gone by many names in the past, and this could only be one of them. So we don't know why his name is different than it is in the books, or if this is his actual name, if this is an alias, but I think it will be kind of fun to find out why that difference is there and how it ties into the story, if it does. Also, I don't think that it will be too different, considering that the name General is in his name, and the Darkling in the books was essentially the general of the Grisha army, so that seems like it will remain pretty similar. Kaz's actor, aka Freddie Carter, has not been in too much. He was in 30 episodes of some show called Free Reign, and he was also a random soldier in the Wonder Woman movie, which is nice, because Wonder Woman. Amita Suman is the actress who is signed on to play Inej, and let me tell you, I'm so excited for this casting. So the only experience that I have with Amita Suman is she played a younger version of Yaz's grandmother in an episode of Doctor Who, season 11, episode 6, Demons of Punjab. Anyway, something you will find out about me pretty quickly is that I am a massive Doctor Who fan. I actually got this tattoo, over Christmas break this year, so that's fun. But I loved her in the episode that she was in. I think that from what I saw of her, she is a very talented actress. She, again, hasn't been in much previously, but I'm very, very hopeful for her performance in this. I'm interested to see her in a more main character sort of role. I'm excited for what she's gonna do with Inej, and maybe I am a little bit biased because I am such a huge Doctor Who fan, but that's just part of the fun. So Kit Young is the actor who is casted as Jesper. We don't really know too much about him. He hasn't been in much. Again, this seems to be kind of a trend with the cast, but he was in a production of Midsummer's Night Dream, which I guess cool, because Shakespeare is pretty prestigious, you know, you gotta memorize a lot of tricky lines. I also swear to God that I saw something connecting him to Dear Evan Hansen, but when I googled it, I didn't find anything, so I might have just been imagining that. Let me know if I am imagining that, or if you also saw something that connected him to Dear Evan Hansen, because I would really like to know. I have no clue where I got this idea from, or if it's true or not, so yeah. And then the actress for Nina is Danielle Galligan. She was in an episode of Game of Thrones and was also in an episode of the show Krypton, in which, funnily enough, she played a character named Inej. Also, this isn't relevant, but her face makes me think of Katie McGrath. I feel like they kind of look similar. That's not relevant, I just think it's something that I wanted to mention. And then for Matthias, we have we have Callahan Skogman casted for Matthias, and I'm not going to say too much about that right now. I'm going to touch on it later. And then for the rest of the cast, we have Sujaya Daskaputa, I probably pronounced that wrong, so I apologize, as Zoya, Daisy Head as Genya, Simon Sears as Ivan, Julian Gustav as Fedyor, George Parker as Prince Vasily, Gabrielle Brooks as Nadia, Kevin Eldon as the Apparat, Luke Pasqualino as David, and Zoe Wanamaker as Baghra, and she was actually Madame Pince from Harry Potter. Okay, so we have this tweet from Leigh, talking about how Wylan will not be in season 1, and then another where she talks about how Nikolai also will not be in season 1, but that the season will still be split 50-50 between the Grisha trilogy characters and the Six of Crows characters. Now, if you've read the books, you know that Wylan is a very important part to the events of Six of Crows, and Nikolai, even though he comes in the second book, is still an extremely relevant character in the Grisha trilogy. So having the two series in the same show and neither of those characters being a part of the first season is like a little like, okay, what's going on? So I went to the wiki page, and it turns out that the show is actually going to be split between only the events of Shadow and Bone, which is the first book in the Grisha trilogy, and then with the Crows who are currently in the show, it will be focusing more on their backstories and them coming into the dregs and meeting each other and getting that sort of dynamic that we see briefly in the beginning of Six of Crows, that then develops as more people come into the group and they go, try and do the heist and stuff. But here is the thing. Even though Matthias is listed as a cast member for season 1, the IMDb page only has him put in 1 episode, and Nina is in 5. The only characters who are listed as being in all 8 episodes are Mal, Alina, Inej, Jesper, and Kaz. So what I'm predicting is that the 4 Crows, Nina, Jesper, Kaz, Inej, it's going to be their backstories. I mean, obviously we already know that, but I don't think that Matthias is going to have his own backstory. I think that he's going to show up in the part of Nina's backstory that he is relevant to, but then that we won't see him again until season 2. And I think that this is because they don't want to elaborate too much on his backstory. Especially, again, they're doing this with Wylan too, I think, because I don't think that they want us to know too much about Matthias and Wylan's backstories prior to when they actually put the events of the Six of Crows on screen, which would be in a later season, because in the book we don't know anything about them until they arrive, and like we don't know anything about their characters. We don't know how they are, like we don't know their nuances, we don't know how they connect to the story, and then we get to see them come into the story, and then we learn more things about them, like Matthias's connection to Fjerda and like how that connects to the story and how it plays out for him and the gang, and then of course Wylan's connection to the main antagonist of the story, who is his father, and also his inability to read and how that plays into everything. And if it's like, I just feel like they didn't want to take away from all of like the air of mystery that surrounds their characters at first and like the fun of discovering things about them. And I think that if they had elaborated on their backstories in season 1, it wouldn't play out in that sort of way. And so they wanted to keep it like that. And so they just thought, no, they're not relevant to the story yet. We're just going to keep them a mystery and we're going to add them in later. And I think that's actually a really good decision. I almost prefer that. Like, yes, I'm sad that we won't be seeing a lot of Matthias, and obviously Wylan is one of my favorite characters in the Grishaverse, so I'm going to be sad that there's no Wylan in season 1. But at the same time, I think this is a really good decision, if this is what they're going for. And I am really excited to see what Matthias and Wylan will be like when they do get introduced into the series. But also, we don't know if that's going to happen because multiple seasons are not a guarantee. Yes, you can plan for multiple seasons, but depending on how well or how badly the first season is received, we might not have a second season because the show needs to get renewed, and that's very dependent on views and audience reception. So if the show turns out really bad, which I don't think it will, like, I don't know what to expect. Like, I'm not expecting it to be a 10 out of 10 incredible, like, word for word reproduction of the books, but at the same time, I'm not expecting it to be as far-fetched and just like completely its own creature like Shadowhunters. We don't have to worry about that quite yet, but I did want to talk about it just because it's something that I find interesting and I want to see how that plays out. And then a couple of things that aren't really relevant to this whole thing, but I still wanted to point out. Oh, this tweet of Leigh talking about how she was on set when they said the infamous words. We all know what they are. You know, no more, just no funerals. What's up? What's good? But so I'm just really excited. I can't wait to see those words said out loud on screen in a show. I can't believe we're getting a show still. It's been over a year, Gabby. Get your shit together. But I'm just excited and I can't wait to see that said on screen. Also, the last thing I promise is this tweet. Now that I have the knowledge that somewhere out there exists a copy of Shadow and Bone written entirely in Ravkin, I will not be able to sleep at night. I will never sleep again. I need that shit to be put on the market so I can buy it and put it on my bookshelf. Like, I can't read it, obviously. I don't know Ravkin, but just having it there and looking at it and being like, yes. So thank you all very much for watching. I hope this was helpful. If it wasn't, I apologize. Sorry. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was informative, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.